Hi, I'm Linda Carroll, author of Life Make It Simple. I live in the beautiful Florida Keys. I've been a stay-at-home mom for the last 20-some years. I have 4 adult children. Needless to say, I rarely made any time for myself, except when I was asleep. My life was very chaotic, and I had really no sense of who I was. Um, my mother passed from lung cancer in 2005, and I was desperately really needing some peace. So my wonderful husband took me to a small island in the Bahamas to get away from everything. Um, he rented a boat and a captain to take us snorkeling. Before we got to the reef, everywhere we looked, there were dolphins. There had to be more than 30 dolphins. I told the boat captain to throw his anchor in the water, and as I slipped in, the dolphins surrounded me. And it was the most amazing experience. My husband got in, and the dolphins went away. Told my husband to get back on the boat. And a few minutes later, I call him the grandfather dolphin, and he came right up to me. And I held my hands out and sent a beautiful, loving energy through my hands to him. And then it seemed to be a celebration. And all the mothers and the babies came with the dolphins, and we played for hours, it seemed like. And as we were coming to a conclusion, the dolphins spiraled into a coil. As I was floating on the surface, they ended up underneath me as a rope of dolphins as I was looking down. And these dolphins hit me with some type of loving vibration that went through my entire being. As I got onto the boat, my husband, he saw me shaking, but I wasn't cold. I was vibrating. And 2 weeks later, my story really begins with, during my daily meditation, I began writing pages after pages of information I was unfamiliar with. And I really had no idea the content or where it was coming from until I asked for guidance, and it was coming from my angels. And this information came through for an entire year until the writing ceased, came to a halt. And I had been hiding this information for some time. I didn't want my husband or children to find out. My mother was diagnosed in her early 40s with schizophrenia, and I was afraid I was the next one. What was really interesting was there were no mistakes in the writing, very few grammatical errors. I began my chaotic life with the kids, taking them to sports. We had 4 different schools, 4 different sports. My oldest daughter was a high-level gymnast, and my son played football and lacrosse, which took up all of my time. And I became very unhappy and felt unappreciated. So the kids left for school one day. I sat down, wrote a letter and explained everything, and I ran away from home. I took my guitar, my paints, my camera, and a copy of my book. I didn't know where I was going, and I really didn't care. I ended up on a little island called Sanibel Island. The only thing was, it was a week before Easter holiday. I had $600 in my pocket and envisioned this beautiful little white cottage by the sea. I never doubted that I would find this cottage. And as I approached the beach, I found this little place called Sandcastles by the Sea. And I walked into towards the ocean. I walked towards the ocean and found a woman. And she asked me if I'd like to see one of the units. And I said yes. She showed me this beautiful cottage. And this cottage, she said, when would you like to come? I said, right now, today. She said, we have people that book a year in advance. So I said, but you don't understand. I just ran away from home. And she stopped. She looked at me. And she gave me the biggest hug. She says, I've been wanting to do that for a long time. So we went into the office, and she said, how long do you plan on staying? And I took my $600 out and handed them to her and said, how long will this get me? She said, I think a week sounds good. So before I left, I had the copy of my book. I handed it to this woman, and I told her to mail it back when she was finished. So she said thank you. A couple months later, I received a letter. She thought she was done having children, and she had just came from the doctor's office, and he had told her she was pregnant. She was in her mid-40s. So my book was in the car on the floor. She picked up the book and opened it up to the gift of life and didn't want to see that, so she closed it. She opened the book again to the gift of life and closed it. And now this time she said, I know where it is in the book. And she opened it the third time and she said, I'm having a baby. Signs, symbols, synchronicities happen to us all. We just have to open our hearts and let them and receive them. This story of this woman is just one of many stories. Something changed inside of me after that experience, and I knew now what my book could do for others, and including myself. All you have to do is open your heart. My book is a stepping stone for people to get out of their own way. My life focus is now to help people learn to love the life they live. I finally found peace, and it's like I'm living my life for the very first time. Each day gets even better. I'm devoted to the awakening process, my own awakening process, and inspiring others through my book to be the best they can be. I would really like to thank Hay House for helping authors like myself have a chance to learn about the publishing industry through your writers' workshops. Thanks again, Louise, Reed, Cheryl, for this wonderful opportunity. Peace, love, and dolphins.